All right, thank you very much, Veli. It's good to be back once again as we get ready to dive into this last match of the day, and these two teams battle it out to not be in last place here in the league. I think that's the endearing goal that they're going to be looking to try and gather for themselves here today, as we'll have these two teams facing off against each other. Stokes, how are you feeling about this matchup as we get prepared to jump into it?
Man, I'm really excited. Excited to see the improvement that Astralis has made throughout this last week. Same for Mirage can be said as well, but I agree with what was being said on the desk. I think that they're their own worst enemy, and just how good do they know their enemy? That's the biggest thing. They really need to get around this hump right now, and I don't really know what it's going to be. Is it going to be pulling Nyx back and trying to let somebody else off the leash? I don't really know, and that's what we're here to figure out. I'm excited because I really think that these two are going to provide that opportunity on both sides, Mirage up against Astralis.
Well, as usual, we have our community poll question for this matchup. We'd like to know from you guys at home, who's going to pop off the most on player cams today? Will it be Dream or will it be Iconic? Feel free to let us know, whether it's here in the Twitch chat, over on our Twitter account at R6esportsNA, or one of the other many social platforms that we run and maintain with a similar tag. Feel free to leave us a follow, as you can be kept up on all of the action going on here at the NAL, as well as all of the other NA Rainbow Six Esports events.
Well, I'm always down for a good Dream clap, but I mean, his name is literally iconic. I don't think you can get around that one. So I'm going to have to go with David here. I don't know about you guys at home, but make sure to vote in chat, vote on social media, and vote anywhere that it's available. But again, we got Mirage and Astralis right around the corner here. So let's get down into the nitty gritty and start talking about these teams. Astralis especially, because they get this huge org this stage, coming under this huge mantle, and it's basically just fizzled out. All of the hype behind them. I mean, the hype is still there per se, but like it's not as bold as it once was.
More than anything, business as usual from the old Disrupt rosters is more the best way to put it for me, as we haven't seen a massive amount of improvements. Just as of yet, the team's still kind of hanging out towards the middle of the pack here inside of the NAL. So still waiting for that to improve, and you could very much say something similar about Mirage as well. They're another team that has made strides forward in the past, back in Stage 1, as well as other parts during the U.S. division here. But unfortunately, as of recent times, has fallen off, whether you attribute that to issues inside of the team currently or because of potential lost players like Hot and Cold, most notably getting moved off the roster a couple months back. That's up to you. But either way, they're here today to change that, however slightly, against Astralis, as they're going to be looking for a win to bump them out of a bad position. Thatcher's going to be our first ban as we get into those, of course, so no surprises to start things off. Let's see what Astralis will pick for their second ban, as they're also going to be choosing to remove Flores today. And us two here will go 2 for 2 on Flores bans as he continues to rise in his ban rate here, specifically in North America. Over to the Defender bans, though. This is also going to be the last choice from Astralis, and they'll choose to knock out Valkyrie. No surprise, she's still very universally useful, especially on maps such as this and others with a lot of outside access via the windows. And then finally, we'll get the last pick to come out from Mirage. Let's see what it will be, and they will choose to eliminate Wamai. It's actually very, very similar to the map we just played in terms of the bans we get.
Yeah, absolutely. The only two new additions being the likes of Valkyrie as well as Thatcher. But either way, honestly, this is going to be pretty balanced across the board. Thatcher getting removed isn't that big of a deal. We actually didn't see him get played too much inside of that last game. I think he was only on like 3 or 4 out of the 12 offensive rounds, or even more that we got played, because we actually did have overtime. But either way, we're jumping into it now, and Thatcher not going to mean too much here with him being banned out. The Flores obviously going to be assisting in that regard as well, with making these shield spots a little bit easier to play for the defenders. It's going to be Mirage on defense first, as they'll be taking us to AVG. Already have a 6 pick coming in. They'll get rid of the Pulse and bring in a Rooney instead for Tommy, so he'll have those laser gates, and the Mira also in for loading.
We'll get into the round, and we'll take a look at what type of setup we'll get out of the Mirage lineup here as we head into Villa for the second time here today, as our teams are finding themselves quite fond of this map suddenly after quite a few weeks of having barely played it, if we played it at all prior to today inside of Stage 3. I personally don't remember, but I think we might have had it sneak in once or twice earlier in the stage, so it is going to pop its head out quite a bit today. And as we start to take a look at the specifics of that site setup, I don't think we're going to be too surprised with what we're getting out of Mirage here right now. A lot of the usual extensions as well as utility placements going down, more importantly focusing on fending off the action coming from Study, but obviously with quite a bit of a reinforcement to make sure that the north side is going to be well prepared as well. Speaking of prepared, well, they're going to need to be, as Astralis is coming out right now. So let's take a look at what their opening setup is going to be, as Mirage puts the finishing touches on their extension over here to the trophy side.
And they'll be handling things out towards Statuary and that space over towards the north here, while the rest of Mirage will be inside of sight as well as below it. Quite a few holes set up around this space to try and prevent any of the default plants that we usually see go down inside of planes, but we'll cross that path once we get there. We're still in the early beginnings of round one here, as we're barely 30 seconds in, so it's mostly drone game currently right now for Astralis. They've also brought Yana to assist inside of the info department, but haven't sprung forward with that just yet. Instead, it's J9 hopping into Art Studio via drone to read out Tommy's location initially here, but not too much coming past that. He'll have the bulletproof to be able to use that continually, trying to find some info on this main stairwell, but you can already see the barrage of utility coming in here, and it'll be the frag grenade to be able to eventually clean up Thomas, and Mirage will lose their first member.
Mirage starting things out well, or rather not so well, but are able to translate it pretty quickly, with Nyx able to line up the shot versus Iconic and take him out instead, bringing us down into a 4v4 situation. Rest of Mirage, though, still holding on a strong control, specifically extending out towards the north side of the map. You can see Nyx still holding this connector position a little bit outside of Statuary, sitting just behind him. Meanwhile, Astralis need to reposition quite a few of their players and might need to do it again in a moment here, as both J90 and Loading will take a serious amount of damage, I believe, from each other and back away from it. Ultimately, neither going to be happy with the result, but obviously not much they can do about it now, as the damage has been done. And Nyx continuing to wait out, though, continuing to play very patiently from that mid-red stairs spot. Drones are in the area, so it's possible he will be found out, but for the time being, he's going to remain safe a little bit closer towards the site, but obviously inside of the first floor, so roaming around that library area just below him, and he won't be the only one doing it. Benji in this area also, but with us encroaching on the 1 minute mark, they're going to feel that the job was done for the most part and peel back the main stairs area now, as Astralis begins to set themselves up towards a 90, more than likely to attempt to open up Gun Vault, but with that blockade in the way, the electrocution on the wall, I don't believe they have the necessary utility to get past it, so they are going to have to head right for the site.
Well, Astralis, they'll have a couple of odds and ends to try and tie up. They've done a pretty good job of doing that thus far. Benji with a pretty cheeky angle all the way out towards main stairs here through the mirror window, but he's not going to get too much on it. Might have a visitor soon to his window as well that he'll have to deal with, but hasn't come onto him just yet. Astralis still right outside the gates right now, simply trying to work this space, but Mirage really isn't giving them too much. Still a lot of utility around Benji as well here, so they won't be able to try and answer this with utility. One on top of the table that Nyx is trying to combat right now, but there's three inside of 90, and they'll simply overwhelm him with the bodies. Benji will be able to fight back, but now DP Fire will hop inside of sight. It is Astralis. They find all the frags in the dying moments of the round, and the first one will go the way of the red.
Villa continuing to be a very make-or-break map today here, as Astralis seem like they don't have an inch to gain anywhere near the site going into those dying few seconds of the round. Suddenly, we see a member of Mirage peek slightly too much into the hallway, give themselves up, and it really never stops from that point forward. Astralis continue to pick up kill after kill after kill inside of those last 10 seconds of the round, and it's enough for them to leverage control over the initial round itself. A 1-0 lead now goes into Astralis' pockets, and Mirage gonna have to sit back and think about just how they lost control over that situation in AVG. They won't be going back to it immediately, however. They'll shift over towards Trophy and Statuary for the next defense.
Yeah, they simply just got abused inside of sight on those last gunfights when Astralis make their entry. Nyx going fishing out towards Bar, and they're able to initially take out him, but then just overwhelm the site. No one really able to get there and try and combat back against three Astralis members. It would take quite a bit to do that in general, and more than likely more than one person rather, but they didn't have any of that at their disposal. So big problems for Mirage right now, but they still have a long road ahead of them on this defensive side, as Astralis has already put together a pretty strong offense. The initial beginnings weren't all too great. Really laying things down on the timer, and got a little scary there for just a split second, but either way, still able to get away with the round. They'll be happy about that one. As for Mirage, they're going to transfer things across. They're headed to Trophy and Statue to see if they can make any serious adjustments here, and this is already starting off pretty strong. The strategy's decently deep here, folks, as Mirage will be holding the mid-floor here in the kitchen and dining area. That's going to be backed up with reinforcements as well as some Thunderbird action here from Nyx, so we could see a pretty good Nitro Cell play coming through.
Gonna have to build up towards that inside of the late round. However, more importantly, gonna have to get Astralis moving their way in from Master side for that all to play out. Unfortunately, neither of those currently happening. Astralis instead putting most of their pressure in from the front door, challenging loading with his position on the main stairs. Not going to be alone there either. Nyx will support from the cross over on the other side of the hallway inside of a library. But Astralis also not being too committed to this either. They've got players positioned in other parts of the map. Not only that, but they are droning the ever-living heck out of this push before they even consider moving into it. Regardless, as well, they're loading, thinking that he's saved after he catches out the drone over towards the 90 part of the hallway, runs into the bar, where ultimately he's sprayed down from the rappel, giving the first kill of the round to Astralis yet again.
Extremely unfortunate for Mirage right now. Astralis able to get the initial frag, and they're going to begin hopping two as well. It's not going to be crazy aggressive here. They still want to make sure they measure twice and cut once. You can see the drone game going ahead just as planned through bench as well as Wolf Hero Boar, or whatever you guys call it at home. But Astralis doesn't want to try and hit this site just yet, and you can honestly see why. I mean, there's still so many Mirage members around the place, as well as they need to be able to get a read as to what's going on this bottom floor. Remember, we still have Nyx around the area with that Nitro cell, and with so much time on the board, they'll be able to abuse this to its fullest potential. Astralis, more than likely, will be adjusting things to cross. Watch Shuttle and where he goes with this case, because this is going to be the telltale sign of what happens in these next moments, as Astralis right now are looking for a master take, but they've got Benji in their way.
Benji is going to get isolated out from the drone and still ready to challenge potential members here from Astralis at the windows. First, he's going to actually change up position towards the secondary window, and now maybe even lean in towards a swing. Dream elsewhere was able to pick up the first kill for Mirage against J90. That seems to have cooled off the aggressive tendencies, however, temporarily for Benji here. They have the advantage. They don't want to throw it away, but they're going to need to get it again here soon, and thankfully, they'll retrieve it back quite quickly with Nyx's Nitro cell. Team, however, still going to see them moving in as Astralis try their best to control a second round, but it all falls to pieces in those final few seconds. So many players struggling for control of something that they run right past the player with a shotgun that shuts them all down. And Mirage quickly finds an exchanged round to tie this back up at 1-1.
Just the human version of a welcome mat right there, and the M590 on the ground. So Mirage able to get away with a round here. Astralis very aggressive on their entry, but Mirage able to fight back in very convincing way. I think the biggest thing there for Astralis is that it's a one-front attack. They simply try and waltz into Trophy, but Mirage have all of that space around Astronomy as well as over towards Statuary and the split doors there to just work around that area. And Astralis can't try and push forward because of all of the arches. They're really worried about those crossfires coming through, and the positioning inside of there is pretty soft as well. I mean, even if you try and get in behind like the wolf stat or the fox statue rather over on the left hand side, that thing's still shootable. Like, there's no place to hide in there except the central table, and you have to lay down. So it's super difficult for them to try and really do anything with that space when they get held up like that. So super unfortunate for them, but very well done from Mirage for handling the situation how it went, because that could have seriously went awry if Astralis gets some solid entry kills. But now at a 1-1 scoreline, we're headed back to Mirage's original mistake. AVG on the board once again.
Mirage going to try to quickly correct the mistakes from before, as Astralis was able, like we said, to brute force their way in the dying seconds of round number 1 to give that to them. So Mirage is thinking they've caught on to the pivotal mistake that sold that round down the river for them, and now they're going to try to rerun it one more time to see if they can truly take the lead away from Astralis here with 2 rounds to run it back and move up at a 2-1 scoreline. Astralis, in the meanwhile, once again going to put that initial pressure in from the north side of the map. We're going to see pretty much every single member of their team work their way either onto the first or second floor of this rappel and start to put pressure onto the inside. As we can see, Iconic already leaping into pantry down below there, or I believe that might just be the outside balcony. And we'll start to see the other members get closer to putting pressure either on the walk-in or the bedroom windows themselves here in just a second.
We'll say this, I love the respect that Astralis is giving to this defense right now. They're making sure that they suss out everything that Mirage is doing, and they don't want to give up any bodies in the process, and that's really admirable, honestly. Use those drones to the best of their ability and try and get something done here, because, oh my
goodness.
God, DP fire! Oh, that wasn't supposed to happen. That's a 2K going the way of the offense, as they simply walk into the barrel of the ARX practically. 6 kills right now for the prodigy of DP fire, and it'll look for more inside the round.
Putting the team on his back to a slight extent here, but it's early day, so we'll see the rest of the squad light themselves up a bit as we get further and further into the matchup. However, as Stokes just mentioned, DP Fire is the big highlight right now, especially with those 2 entries. Certainly making Mirage a bit scared for their own lives as we see the remaining 3 players, for the most part, fall back to the site. Thomas will be extended out slightly towards 90. But even that more than likely will be changing soon once the team figures out that the presence has shifted from Astralis and it's now working its way up through the main stairs here. There you go. Thomas is going to push himself a little bit further against the trophy side of things to try and fend himself up and get ready for the push. Speaking of pushes, DP Fire nearly finds himself a victim of one there as he works himself up through the main stairs. We'll also quickly realize there's an ADS directly below him before he chucks out that nade. Probably a good plan, as now that nade will find itself exploding. Thomas, in the meanwhile, starting to wrap back in. More than anything, watching for the flank to come from the north side. Probably not going to have to worry about too much here, as I don't think Astralis are planning for that currently. I say that, but Iconic is kind of out on his own a little bit closer towards that side, so we'll kind of wait and see what he's going to do as he does jump back in towards Master and may very well get an opportunity to take down Thomas and some of the other members of the team closer to that side of the site.
You always got to be worried about that in the dying moments, especially with the man count that Astralis has right now. With 5 members up, they're really able to do whatever they want because the central unit to be working towards the site is the main distraction. These other Astralis members are more than likely trying to get some frags off of that. Iconic will get read out, though, as he tries to peer in through benches, but he's going to immediately hop down. These stuns will be able to mask his fall as well, so Thomas is more than likely missed out on him, and he has. He's made the move as well. Iconic gets the kill on red stairs, but Dreamfire's back. Astralis has to try and bully their way into sight now. We need this case to go down, but where's it at? It's in the likes of Shuttle's hands, but he's lost it now. And no, the kill's starting to go the way of Mirage. And oh no, the SMG-11 wielder, he'll make it out. And Astralis, how does this happen? Why do you let this happen? You can see Thomas, he's giving it to him. And honestly, Thomas, I can't fault you, man. Because they are choking. What was that? You have to get into the site, guys. It's just so unfortunate for Astralis.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, minus the hyperbole of the choke. We are going to see Astralis really struggle inside of that round. They had every advantage they could have asked for. They get 2 opening kills, all coming from DP Fire. They're on that master push, and then the map is pretty much theirs at a minute 30 onward from that point in the round. They have a solid minute or more to set up and execute, and they just don't. They don't ever get into a proper position, at least from the south, the study side, to work themselves into it. You could make an argument that, yes, Iconic was distracted by the positioning from another player over on Mirage. I think it was Thomas playing the flank from downstairs on red stairs, but that was only a couple seconds of it. What was the rest of the team doing on the other side of the map for all that time that Iconic was trying to get in a position?
Why is the push going through planes and the case is on the other side of the bomb site? That's my biggest question. Shuttle's positioning was so unbelievably poor there. And I'm sorry, you got to call something like that out. They clear that entire space. That's a plant for free any day of the week. And instead they have to go all the way to the other side of the bomb site to try and combat these players that should have never happened in the first place. So just super unfortunate overall for Astralis in the way that broke down, because that is a round that they should have definitely have had. Like at the area in which they were standing before they hit that execute, that's like a 90% win rate easily, with things going the proper way. So super unfortunate for them overall, but hopefully this timeout, a little discussion with Easily can adjust things. We don't want to be all doom and gloom on the desk right now, but I mean, when you have a round like that, it's really hard not to. We'll see what Astralis can do up against this kitchen defense here from Mirage that we'll be seeing for the very first time.
Yeah, I mean, we see an immediate pause called by the coach of Astralis there after that round does not go their way as well. So Astralis' leadership very well aware, I think, of how that round went down and the unfortunate circumstances surrounding that round's downfall. So hopefully corrections have been put in place to ensure that that is not going to happen again. Not necessarily the easiest thing to correct, though, the team not having the confidence seemingly to work their way inwards. So probably some discussion going on about why exactly there was so much delay and how to avoid that in the future more than anything, as well as plans, of course, for the upcoming rounds. Let's see what Astralis are going to give us as they're out on the board, and Mirage quite ready for the challenge as they move downstairs now, but as usual, we'll have the extension second floor to waste time away and prevent Astralis from having the appropriate amount of time for J9O to set things up on the top-down angles.
Yeah, there's going to be a party upstairs. And when there's a party, you got to have party favors, John. And those party favors happen to be EDDs. Benji bringing Cap Cannon. Oh, DP fire. Yo, that drone should have seen him like 10 years ago, guys. Let's hop on this early here. Oh, there we go. Iconic. He's able to get on rappel quickly enough to get the refrag. So we'll be happy about that. But honestly, how happy can you be in that exchange? You're going to lose Yana. You're going to lose the ARX and grenades and her holo. All of that going by the wayside. All for the likes of Amazi. Nyx is probably pretty happy about this initial pick.
Yeah, Nyx will more than likely be quite all right with that exchange of frags. Obviously, that is going to lead into Astralis still getting some good control for themselves upstairs early on in the round, so they will have a good amount of time to build up into a potential execute. I'm curious to see, though, is, yeah, the rest of the second floor setup still needs to be dealt with also, and there's the fact that Thomas is continuing to cause problems, or at least wants to try and cause problems from a bit of a cheeky position on the inside of Trophy here. We'll see if it works out in a few moments, as Astralis will be moving into that part of the map very, very soon, and they have, as I was mentioning before, a lot of work to do here between Benji, Thomas, and the third player for Mirage that I believe is in this area also. Thomas is going to be found out from a drone, though. He's got to move out of his spot here. Still trying to take the fight and winning it, apparently, as he downs Iconic. Going to go for a second in a moment here. Nearly gets it done already. His shuttle now falls to right under 20 HP here. And J9O finally trying to reverse it. He'll succeed in doing that, but Shuttle's now gone down in the process.
Oh my god, it's so going very wrong for Astralis right now, John. They just can't get a single thing to go their way. Even when it's something as simplistic as taking out a lone person inside of Trophy, the stuns can't even help them. Everyone's been downed, all on 20 HP, at least for J9 and Shuttle's regard. For Retro, he's going to be on max, but he's also going to be the best chance that Astralis have at winning this round. J9, he could have a pretty solid read on this. Going to be a frag grenade out and a pre-fire here from Benji, but he needs to get away now, and he's been able to do so. Astralis will have to back off as the timer continues to dwindle lower and lower here, and they need to set their goals higher. It needs to be onto the site and getting this plant down, but you can see Mirage are already preparing themselves. They know Astralis hasn't made any headway towards the actual site, so they'll be able to try and stop it here at the gates and hold on to these doors. Dream will be holding on to China while the rest of the team currently holds on to Laundry as well as some other odds and ends. Going to be approaching the door. SMG-11 in hand. Initial shots are good. He'll take down Retro. They still have two to worry about inside of Tarps as well, but the crosses are too strong. Dream takes out the initial one. The second one goes down to the Nitro Cell, and Mirage. I mean, they're looking unstoppable right now against Astralis.
Yeah, Mirage with some great work to, more importantly, damage Astralis in the very, very early parts of the round here, set them off from what would be the right foot forward that they would use to get into the site and cause them to fly on either a backup plan or unstable numbers, something that will cause issues inside of the execute with which Mirage can use that to piece apart the remaining players and shut down the round. Mirage has been doing that fantastically ever since round number 2. Obviously, yeah, things started out a bit bumpy over in AVG as Astralis had a great first round for themselves that they just barely won by brute forcing their way into the site, but now it's Mirage that's been controlling the situation ever since. They grabbed a hold of this lead and they have not let go. They're going to move back upstairs into Trophy and Statuary for one of their two final defenses here as we get close to the end of the initial half.
I think Mirage have been playing some pretty strong defenses, but also just the game plan for Astralis across the board right now isn't the greatest. I mean, that last round stands out the most out of all of them that we've seen, obviously, because Astralis just simply stack people inside of Boar and try and shove them into Trophy. And yeah, that's a great idea if you want to try and trade out for bodies, but when Thomas is on the other end and he takes out two of you, that's a huge issue, especially with not only the man count that you have there, but also the utility that you could have possibly used to overwhelm that position in the first place. They start small with the map control in that area, and they end small because of what ended up going down. So it's just super, super unfortunate for them that ended up breaking down the way that it was. But that's how round 4 really just ended up going the way of Mirage, all off the back of Thomas's efforts upstairs. We'll see if he can do it yet again here inside of round 5. As Astralis is out and about yet again here, but we're already going to have some changes coming in. Iconic will head back to the Zofia to see if he can get some more done.
Usually a good bet for most teams here to bring that Zofia into the fold. We've been seeing her arguably take an even stronger stance since the changes recently were put into place and we started to see her LMG get used a lot more. And Once again, her presence has continued to be just as strong as previous. As a result of that, we're going to see the rest of Astralis, though, line themselves up and get ready to go for a bit of a hop-in play over towards the upstairs site inside of Trophy. And it'll work to start. J9O gets access for himself, is not going to feel secure enough to go for a plant this early on yet, but they've taken the position, and that's what's important in this specific situation. Thomas tries to get into the way of it as he works his way up the Astros stairs, but cannot maintain the position. It's going to be Nyx now loading instead that start to deal the damage first, and it's against important players as well. You can see on Trophy, all that control is now lost, and the planter now dead, meaning someone else has to go in to pick up the case and start this process again. More than likely going to have to be DP Fire here as the only one in position to do it, as a very awkward split has now been created with that most recent kill between the remaining Mirage and Astralis players.
Yeah, very awkward split, but you might as well call it the Grand Canyon at this point. Nobody will be allowed to cross unless Retro goes down, and Nyx knows he's there. It's the first bullet as well, and Astralis, they still haven't done anything on this side of the map. Finally, a kill will come the way of Astralis' camp. Those will take down Benji. Still have to worry about the case inside of sight and the possible overwatch that Mirage have on this position. Currently a 3-on-2. Astralis still need a lot to go their way. So Mirage, they've been able to hold on to a lot of control, especially down south, where we could see the Nitro Cell come into play soon here from Nyx if there is a read on what's going on inside of the site. But that's a positive thing right now for Astralis. No defensive utility that'll go that way besides the bulletproof here that they'll be able to get rid of. DP Fire will be able to get rid of the rest of these things, but Astralis have got to come up with a game plan, and they got to come up with it quickly. If they start losing the bodies here, this is basically over. DP Fire will start moving forward. They'll at least be able to get case control, but now he's going to need some assistance here from Iconic. Has a frag grenade, will chuck that towards the astronomy stairs and try and hold back that area for the time being. Nitro Cell out, but will it land? Nyx, oh, wrong side. DP Fire currently over on the other case. Iconic will take down one. He'll make it a 2 versus 2 as he'll have the solid overwatch, but the case will get reset for the 3rd time here as they're chasing ghosts. And oh no, they'll be able to at least get the kill, but now Nyx, oh, in such a pivotal moment, has the opportunity. He'll be able to take down one, but he's got to play it out on time now. The case still in the hands of DP Fire as well. What's his choice here? 10 seconds remaining. He powers forward, but he misses his shots. He's got to chase down Nyx, and he chases him to the door, but Nyx doesn't know where it's going down. Nyx, oh my, not like this. He gets caught looking. He has no idea where this case is going down. He's read out, and he's dusted, and Astralis get away with a round that they should have never have had. I don't even know what to say. Both of these teams are just choking away these rounds.
Mirage with 2 crucial misreads right there. The first is against the initial real plant attempt that goes down, where the Nitro Cell is chucked into the wrong room because they don't read the sound intel properly, would be my guess as to how that happened. And then at the end, Nyx, in an incredibly claustrophobic 1vx there, loses his opponent in the dying seconds of the round. Had he stayed back there, had he not peeked out from bathroom, could have closed it out on the timer, but no, ends up not being the case. Exposed himself into Astro too much and could not get back to run out that remaining second or 2 on the clock. That round is going to go into the hands of Astralis, as like you said, they steal a round that they had no business getting in the first place over from their opponents.
Well, there's a fundamental of Rainbow Six, John, and it's all on time and planting. And what it is the fact of if it's very minimal time and it's a 1 versus 1 and you are on the defense, you have got to force that person to plant. You have got to force that person to plant, because if you don't, then you run into problems like this. He tries to take the challenge and he ends up dying. There's a bunch of different ways that you can play out that situation. You can fake noises, you can do all of these things, and you can do all of that because Rainbow Six isn't like any other objective bomb shooter. You hear the guy planting the entire time. Everyone knows those typing noises. I know that I'm getting like pretty hyphy about this right now, but I mean, come on, man. That's just so very unfortunate. Either way, though, Mirage, they're going to be down to their last defensive round, and they have to be happy at least with the lead that they've made right now. It's 3-2 over Astralis right now. They have an opportunity to split this at 4-2. They're going to be headed to AVG to try and do this, and it's going to be a very similar setup to what we saw last time. Benji will be heading this off at the north side, where Astralis will actually be inserting themselves into Master, at least for the moment.
ZX Kairos going to be used before we even see members of Astralis working their way into the building even to try and pry open pathway forward for Astralis to get themselves into stature, and it will work. No one on Mirage will be able to peek the doorway to take those out, because unfortunately that would expose them to the players on the window positions. So an extended position now going to go away, and Astralis will clear that out with relative ease. Only the first step, though, of a multi-tiered process that Astralis need to complete just to get them into position to get onto the site. This was the thing that they were unable to complete on the previous hold here from Mirage, so we'll see what the difference will be this time for Astralis, as they're going to work their way through the north side of the map fairly quickly now that they've realized Mirage have given up any and all control they had previously here.
So far, so good for Astralis inside of this round, but they're going to need a lot more positive things coming their way in order to actually win this out. Mirage has looked very solid, especially on this site, so it's more than likely going to be a little difficult for them to try and crack this nut. Benji's going to be playing in very similar position to what he was last time, but the mirror window setup is not going to be the same, so he won't have the angle out towards bus door here, but still will be able to maintain this steady control, and that's really what they're looking into right now. They want to try and get ahead of anything that's going to go down in this space and try and prevent hard breaks from going down in this area, but you can see Astralis has added to this as well. And speaking of adding to things, Thomas is going to add to the kill profile here, as he'll take down the top frag right now. DP Fire, he's gone, and we're going to need a step up here from a couple of the lower end players right now on Astralis.
Iconic patiently waiting for Benji to swing here. Oh, and Benji even takes the challenge. I was surprised he did it, but regardless, moves out for a moment there. No connected shots obviously coming in from Iconic, and Benji still being very cautious of potentially getting shot from the other doorway inside of the site here. Continue to let the timer run down here. Here we go. Here's the play being made now by Retro. First to get into the site. Toxic Babe is going to go way too deep, but the Nitro, that'll sing right where it needs to. Loading takes out Retro, preventing the plant, but someone else is going to hop right in here and try it again. Dream as well is out of Toxic Babe, so no one left to put this off and stop the plant from going down. They succeeded it, but here is the glaring issue now. No numbers left for Astralis to hold on. J9 literally has a sliver of HP. I'll check on the nade, and I'll be honest, I might get lucky and get Dream, but no, it looks like it missed pretty much everybody or got eaten up by an ADS, as Mirage probably pull off one of the quickest retakes I've seen recently and get themselves another round.
Yeah, last-ditch effort there from Mirage and able to pay off. But as for Astralis, just extremely unfortunate for them. Just don't have the man count to really push it in the way that they want to. And Mirage, the patience on their end, that's the biggest thing right now. They're playing extremely well around their defensive strategy. That's the biggest thing for me on that defensive half, is that they really push that to the ends here to take it to Astralis. I mean, you can even see that, especially from like Benji's positioning, right? How long did he sit in that corner? Simply because he knew nobody could get rid of him. I can sit here and be annoying, and if somebody on the other team is going to sit here and stare at this angle for 2 minutes, I mean, that's a time waste from them. I don't really have to do anything. I'm on the defensive end. You're the one who has to plant the bomb. Isn't that funny? Ha ha ha. So that's basically what they did the entire time. So for Astralis, it's unfortunate, but you also have to be the one to play offense on the offensive side. So I'm not going to feel too bad for you. I really want to see what you can do on this defensive side now that they'll have the ball in their court in the likes of Villa. But again, it's going to be a long road ahead of them, especially if they get off on the wrong foot.
Let's see here if that is going to transpire for either of our teams, as Astralis is looking to bounce themselves back into the game now. A little bit of the pressure off them now that they fall onto the defensive side, and aren't necessarily in charge of dictating the pace of this game anymore here. They can sit back and allow Mirage to come to them. That doesn't mean, of course, we're not going to see any playmaking come out from them. It just means that obviously that challenge is in the hands of Mirage more so than anything at this point. So put the pressure more so on them. Speaking of which, we've got Mirage spawned out, and it's looking like they're also going to more than likely put a lot of the initial pressure on the north side to flush out the extended game, just like we saw just like we saw Astralis do, and force the members of Astralis to play back into the site now on their defensive half.
Well, we have a new operator coming into the list that we don't get to see very often, and one that doesn't have the longest competitive discography, one could say. When it comes to Finka, not an operator that we get to see all too much, except for her recent buff, John. She got the Gun 6 as a secondary, so now she's got 3 explosives, count them 3, in order to get rid of a lot of utility pieces, as well as her traditional boost here, but that's also gotten buffed as well, so it's a permanent stim. It gives you permanent health now instead, which is pretty great. It doesn't obviously set you up over top of things, but, you know, just nice to be able to slap on that health whenever you need to and actually get some health back from it instead of it slowly deteriorating over time. So we'll probably see that pop up every once in a while more and more often. But either way, Mirage have a pretty solid lineup across the board, and well, with the early insight, they'll actually get an early kill as well. It's onto Iconic, and he's been having a pretty rough game, although he's got 5 kills.
Yeah, still one of the highest contributions on Astralis in terms of frags right now, so despite the rough patch for him, still some of the best that Astralis have been able to provide inside of this matchup here. It's not necessarily a good sign for this team going forward. We're going to see Nyx now actually insert himself into the building where he's got a very early potential fight getting lined up here as well against the Goyo. Shuttle, if Nyx can find him, very well end up being the next victim of Mirage, but Shuttle's got to watch out. He's put himself into a very awkward position. If he's not careful, he's going to get some additional support, but it's in the wrong position, so Nyx can play against this. No problems taking out Shuttle. The player on the stairs, DP Fire, will be no concern to him as he just cannot get an angle against the library swing. Now he has to focus fully on defending this staircase. With the last minute left, they've got to try to use that time bank is the only thing playing into their favor here. Dream forcing the issue on the stairs, though, between him as well as Nyx. That will crunch out DP Fire's spot and just leave the two anchors rolling here. It's Retro and J90 against the world, and an aggressive swing from Retro gives this team a good start. J90 does the same. Now the M590 as well as the Toxic Babes are coming out. Retro certainly putting in an effort to work things there, but it won't pan out, and unfortunately J90 peeks out just a little bit too prematurely as he was mid-reload, so he'll go down without much of a fight there, and this round will go over to Mirage.
Well, we're already seeing a major difference between Mirage and Astralis' attacks, and it's Mirage's willingness to move forward, especially with the way that they used Finka there. That was the call sign for them to start dealing some damage, and they immediately take control of main stairs and slow down Astralis. There's really no way for them to try and fight back, except from on-site, and that's exactly what they do. I think the biggest piece there for Astralis was Retro and the way that he tried to combat back, because that's really all they had in the cards was for him to try and go big there with a shotgun play on Bookshelf, but he just couldn't get it done. For some reason, Dream is like, you know what? I'm just going to wait for these things to pop on the wall, and I'll exist inside your smoke for a second, and I'll shoot you through the open breach. So that was an outplay and a half from him, but it's going to bag Mirage around at the end of the day. And it was just, again, very well coordinated, really, really strong control from them, and just a breeze. They were not worried about that round. It was just well coordinated and well handled. So as for Astralis, though, really want to see some of these adjustments coming in here on this defensive end. I mean, the early fights are just simply not going their way, and they really need to start backing off of some of this aggression. All of these things being given up so early is just making it an easy road for Mirage.
All right, well, let's see if Mirage can continue to sail down that road with relative ease, or if Astralis is finally going to try and put a crack or two in it to make things a bit more difficult for Astralis. Obviously, we've extended towards a different site this time around. They're going to be trying things out over towards Trophy and Statuary. As far as Mirage is concerned, though, that's going to just be business as usual, moving right down the list of sites they'd expect to execute against anyway. So we'll now focus on clearing out Study Nice and Quick, as well as the extension of Iconic and DP Fire once again. Iconic is so close to a headshot angle here, but he is going to miss that drone rolling right past him. DP Fire will have success, however, catching out Thomas. He'll go down, and Iconic will be able to steal one away as well here. A much better result from the aggressive game on Astralis inside of the opening seconds of the round as they make the impact to bring it down to a 5v3.
That's what we needed to see, but
Here
honestly, this is all really up to Mirage. I mean, they try and start things off on this balcony, but they don't send anybody else around the map at all. There's nobody downstairs. There's nobody working the master side. I mean, this is fault by design on their end. You really can't just try and bully your way into Study and expect positive results, especially with how people play defense around that nowadays. So unfortunate for Mirage right now, but they got a long road ahead of them if they do want to try and win something, or rather win this round and push it up to a 6-2. For Astralis, this is more than likely going to be a straightforward affair from them, but either way, they still got to get it done. Dream is going to try and get himself in on this north side. Doesn't have any drones to back this up either, but does have some X-Kairos spells to try and deal with these reinforcements. They're set up currently on the bathroom. That's going to give him some new angles to try and abuse in towards the bathroom. But speaking of angles, Iconic's got one, and Benji no longer has a head because of it. It's looking like a flawless from the defense, and that would be such a huge thing for them right now.
Yeah, massive shift from what we've been getting prior to this anyway. Dream going to try to stop it from being flawless, at least as it's come down to him in the final seconds of the round, or I guess final minute of the round, since this one's gone fairly quickly due to the great work coming in from Astralis' extended game. Dream still hoping for a safe kill or two that he can get to lighten the load just a tad, but unfortunately nothing popping out against him here that he could realistically win out. So he's just going to have to try his luck with the Astro or statuary push and hope for the best. And unfortunately, the best is not going to look too great in this specific situation there. The bulletproof potentially giving info against him as well, although it's not currently active because everybody on Astralis is alive here. There we go. Removes the flawless round at least, and still has a workable time bank of about 30 seconds to play off of, although the player count not necessarily getting that much better here, as the smoker viewed over there, played by Retro, is just going to toy around with him here in the final moments, ultimately shutting it down as he finally locks in on the angle there, closing things down and making this match a little bit more palatable for Astralis.
I got scared there for a split second that Retro wasn't watching the door, but hey, still able to get it on the board, and that's a positive thing for Astralis. It's going to be a Mirage timeout now as they'll reassess what they want to do on their offensive side. The offensive unit has looked pretty solid thus far for Mirage, but they finally felt the wrath of Astralis and some of their more aggressive tones. And really, to try and fight back against that, it's going to take a little bit of a shift in the way that they're handling their map control, so really hoping that we see some kind of adjustment in that department.
We'll see in just a moment here as Mirage obviously taking the time out to figure out what's gone wrong with this sudden shift in the favor of Astralis. It is just one round going awry so far here, so not the end of this leading run for Mirage by any extent just yet, but this next round could be pivotal in deciding if that is indeed going to be the case. Mirage wants to lock this one down as quickly as possible, and they want to stop Astralis from getting their own momentum going here, or even just allowing them to get that extra round or two could make closing out the last two for Mirage that much more difficult. For the mental factor alone playing into it, if Astralis thinks they have much more of a chance here, the fight's going to be that much more difficult. So let's see if Mirage can quickly look to shut this one down and leave Astralis without that hope that they desperately want to cling to right now to close out on this matchup. It's going to be a dining room defense from them, more specifically, as they will move away from the upstairs holds and, more importantly, the AVG hold that they already tried on the first round, and see if they'll have better luck with the extended play they need to bring out downstairs. Frost is going to be six-picked in by DP Fire as well to make things a bit more interesting.
DP, I do not respect you if you do not put a frost mat inside of pantry. We just need one at the bottom of the staircase. If anybody jumps in, they'll have a nice surprise for them, but they'll probably put one inside a bicycle around the area. Plenty of windows down here to try and abuse for that. Might slap one over inside of Mudroom as well, which is over towards the west, and that's the usual window that we see abused for the offensive team to try and make a quick entry. Either way, for Mirage, we're not going to have too many change-ups on their offensive lineup. We'll have the Finka work its way back in, and that's when we saw that decently aggressive round that was pretty well coordinated from Mirage that got them to the scoreline in the first place. So it could be a positive thing for them going into this, but obviously with this being a kitchen defense here, this is going to play out just a little bit differently because they're going to have to assess what's going on this top floor. And if they don't respect it properly, they're more likely going to lose a couple bodies in the process, especially with Retro playing the pulse down low.
We've got Mirage working their way forward yet again here in the opening seconds of the round. We're not going to see anything too momentous as they try to take control away from Astralis here. It's more, again, going to be that opening intel gathering as they try to also pop open some of the soft walls from Pantry. Benji, more than anyone, going to take care of that, while the rest of this team gets into position to start putting pressure over towards Laundry and some other key areas of the map here. A little early for that Laundry pressure, but I think that's just preparation for later in the round more than anything. However, I say that, Mirage could be sending a bit more of an aggressive strategy forward, although this one would be a bit bold if they were to carry forward all the way. They still need a lot more control away from this, specifically upstairs in Master. So indeed, we are going to see Thomas back away from that position after a few seconds of delay. And we have seen the Master control fall to Mirage in the meanwhile, so Nyx can now begin that top-down angle work. Once that's done, then we can start to more reliably look towards that potential Laundry push.
Well, you know, control is a finicky term because things could go very wrong if a nitro cell lands correctly. So we'll see if J9 is able to get away with that. But Thomas, very scared after he accidentally concusses himself getting rid of that door. Nobody on the opposite end, so he impacts it and blinds himself in the process. But now for Astralis, They've been able to muster up a pretty solid defense thus far. Mirage really haven't powered themselves forward to deal with any of this top floor hold, and now Nick's trying to deal with the shield around the astronomy area. They'll be able to do so. No ADS is to try and play that, and now DP Fire will have to move this along. This is a pretty extensive setup for Astralis out towards the library area as well, with more than likely some long angles for them to try and play defense. You can already see that around the tarps area as well. Some extended areas around this mid floor to try and give Mirage some very awkward gunfights that they're not exactly prepared for. But they're going to have to try and do that inside of the last minute. Astralis, once again, delayed so very well, but oh, what a shot from Nyx! He's able to get 2, make it 3 if he can get it done, but no, now Astralis, it's their turn. They'll fire back. 2 big frags, but Tommy will get one of his own as well. Iconic, he's able to bag loading, knock it down into the 2 versus 2, make it a 2 versus 1 with Iconic on low HP. He's got one smoke to try and do something, but the air jab will knock him on his rear, and he's not going to be able to find the angle to prevent this plant from going down.
Needs to go back downstairs into the play now, and with such low HP, this is where it's going to be so close to unwinnable for him here. Mirage realized that he's with the shotgun as well, so they're going to go as long range as they possibly can on this fight, although with the SMG-11, that could come back to haunt them. Not the case this time, however. Dream shuts it down, and Mirage get themselves 1 round closer to a win here today, as they only need 1 round at this point overall to get it done. Astralis, in the meanwhile, continuing to struggle, as although they do a good job of fighting back against the initial onslaught in that round, it is not enough for their last player to be able to fight in the clutch. Their 6-3 becomes our scoreline. Mirage sits on map and match point.
I mean, Mirage are just simply outplaying them. The plays that they're making right now, Astralis are just getting lost, and they're not really able to fight back in any convincing way either. Even inside of that double kill that Nyx is able to get, the damage is already done. He took out the entire back line of their defense. The rest of Mirage are just simply able to waltz into sight and start planting. So, I mean, for Astralis, what are you going to do inside of that scenario? You have to try and combat Nyx. You're able to get that kill, but then things start to fall apart inside of the actual site, and the only remaining members that you have are all outside of the area. Basically an impossible situation, especially with very low HP when it came down to the lone soldier and the likes of Iconic. Again, it's just big problems right now for Astralis, and you can see that across the board inside of their play. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but Shuttle isn't exactly someone you expect to get 0 kills, and it's not that things aren't happening. DP Fire and Iconic both have 10 frags each right now. It's 20 kills. It's so many. But when the rest of the team isn't there to back it up, this is when you start running into problems. I mean, just look over at Mirage's team. You got 12 for Dream, 11 for Nyx, and the rest of the team, they're there, but that's the most important thing. They're actually there. They're getting kills on the board and doing the things necessary to push these rounds forward. It's just not there for Astralis right now as they're getting picked apart.
Especially on the defensive side here, right, is if you're putting a player like Shuttle in this specific match, right? This is not to obviously criticize him in any
No, he's been playing great,
extent.
but, I don't know what's happening in this game.
Yeah, unfortunately, when you have someone with 0 kills being put into a position, on the defense here, if they're just by the record not going to get any kills, that's one part of your defensive setup that's always going to get pried open every single round here. And it seems like, once again, that's going to be the case against Iconic's case, although there's not much he can do to stop it in this specific scenario. Perfect nade timing. Things right next to him, and a second later explodes. We're going to see a preset Nitro go down by Shuttle. Unfortunately, it seems like Mirage are pretty much done with this side of the map already, though, so I don't think that's going to lead to a whole lot, at least not anytime soon.
A bomb has been located.
Well, still plenty of time for Astralis to hold things up here, but we'll have to do it without Iconic. The top frag right now for the team, tied with a DP Fire. But now is a minute off the board. Mirage still with a lot of control to try and work their way through. They've gotten Thomas decently deep here, currently inside of Piano, but have to worry about a main stairs player as well. Shuttle all the way off on an island at the top of Astronomy Stairs currently. He can come in behind these Mirage players unless there's a flank drone here in which they have boatloads of right now. They've only lost 1 drone throughout the entirety of this round, so Christian's definitely got to be happy about that one. Probably cooking up in the lab for a while on that. And now Mirage, they found so much space. Nyx, you're not supposed to be here, and a plant going down as well, but J9 can't see it, and the plant, it's gonna get secured. Dream, he's off the map table, but he's finally dead. It's a 3 versus 4, but now Shuttle, he's actually been able to get through. He'll find his first frag, and this retake is starting to go off without a hitch, but Benji, he might have something to say about that.
Loading also going to get in the way of this as well. The air jab perfectly timed to assist Loading here, trying to keep him alive as he swings one final time, bringing it down to a 2v1. Retro the only one left, but he needs to complete the full rotate over here to try to insert himself in between these two players. Gets the first one, knows the other one's outside, but the air jab puts him in the corner. Benji doesn't push on that though, so he's got a chance to swing with the M590, but there's not going to be enough time left. We're past 7 seconds now. It doesn't matter. Benji runs up to finish it out with a bang, or a slice apparently, as he ends the game with a knife kill, and things go into the favor of Mirage as they shut down the map 7-3.
Nothing like gouging your enemy for a 7-3 victory. Mirage finally able to get something convincing on their stage 3 board. That was a pretty damn good game, if I have to say so myself. As for the Astralis camp, I mean, it's just looking bleak right now, man. I really don't have too much to say about it because I feel like it'll honestly be a little bit too mean, but I'm really hopeful for their future. It's not the fact that they don't have talent on this team. It's just that coordination just simply isn't there right now. They're just not making plays around each other, and it's really sad to see, especially with, you know, the bright future that we thought this team had inside of Stage 3.
Very hesitant on the attacks more than anything is the point to write home about here about Astralis. We did see corrections on that after the pause, but prior to that, they seemed very, very hesitant and very unsure of themselves at best when trying to make those types of late rounds attacks there that we saw play out in their favor sometimes, but very, very rarely ultimately. Big player got to give credit to here. Nyx doing some incredible work, especially inside of that second half, doing entry work oftentimes on the sledge as well, and excelling at it as we saw in a couple of those rounds. You heard the analyst talking in the pregame about how he needed to cool off a little bit. Well, he took that advice, threw it right in the garbage bin, doubled down on it, and to some tremendous effect here today, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, for Nyx, his play today was absolutely immaculate, especially after what we saw go down inside of Astronomy for that 1 versus 1. That's something that will completely take out a player mentally, and he was able to reset and still have a hell of a game. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for John and I this week. We hope you guys enjoyed the commentary, but don't go away just yet. We got an analyst desk that's got to talk to you guys. We will see you later.
You got that right, there's an analyst desk, and thank you for the great commentary, Blue and Stokes, but fellas, Jacob, Jesse, we just saw Mirage beat out Astralis in a game where you just needed to win, and it looked like Mirage wanted it way more. We saw the pop-offs, we saw the dream claps, but most importantly, you saw Thomas go crazy. Mirage is now moving up, and Astralis is dead last in the standings, and fellas, that's it for today.
It took the stats, the standings right in front of my very eyes to finally show me the way that Astralis somehow is the worst team in North America. And I don't say that lightly. I say that because this team has been built upon the bedrock of potential since day one. Since they came into the North American League in the first place, known as Disrupt Gaming, the talent on this roster was absolutely undeniable, even if a lot of it was still unproven and raw, looking to be shaped. Mirage having as much veteran talent as it does on it now is making Astralis look like playthings. They're out there doing whatever they want to this poor team that just got a new org. It's like new org syndrome all over again, but it's lasting for an entire stage for Astralis right now.
I mean, I said it at the start, right? All Mirage have to do is get Nyx back on track, and they are a good team. And what happened? Nyx popped off, had an amazing game today, and Mirage reaped the rewards. That was a fantastic matchup for Mirage, and Nyx especially, pulling a lot of the weight there for MRG. Huge game from him, and they can feel so good about this. Take a look at those stats. Nyx 11-8, Dream 12-5. This was an incredible showing.
Now, this just shows that we don't just talk about players and what we want to see from them to pick on them.
Yeah.
Jesse, you and I, and along with Jacob, we picked on Dream, we picked on Nyx, not in a bad way, but in a way to say, we want to see more. We want to see you overcome this and do better because we believe in you. Take a look at Nyx, baby. 4 opening kills. Dream was fantastic yet again. Dream had 2 hot games so far this stage, by the way, where he entirely took over.
Oh, yeah.
From the side of Astralis. It just doesn't look too pretty. DP4 and Iconic, they're the Wonder Twins with 10 kills apiece. But Jacob, it sucks to say it. I mean, the potential is there, but man, Shuttle struggled.
Yeah, the potential is there, but the execution is not. And it's
No.
a little difficult for us to look at people who are veterans of the sport at this point, like Retro and like Shuttle, and trying to clue into why they're having these kinds of performances. I will still stick by this idea that I don't quite understand. Why are Flank Watch and Hard Breach being switched back and forth between Retro and Shuttle so much? It's something I think might have been situational for a couple of maps before, but now I'm noticing a consistent trend where we're seeing Retro pick up the Nomad and Shuttle play Hibana, and somehow things are getting lost in translation. Not to say either of them can't play that role specifically, but in the context of how this team operates, Shuttle playing Hard Breach did nothing but open up a couple of walls and was 0-7 through like 8 rounds. It took him a long time to finally find the scoreboard, and his cost just kind of goes to show that the impact he was having. I mean, it doesn't show Hard Breach, but still, I'm looking at this trying to fathom why Shuttle went from getting 22 kills in stage 1 to this.
And that's the biggest part that hurts about this, right? It's not that we want to pick on Shuttle, but as a veteran on the team and someone that we know can take over, that we say can take over, seeing a performance like this, it hurts because Astralis is struggling. They're struggling now. They're sitting at the bottom of the standings, and we're looking at a group of young players that are amazing, tons of skill, but we also see veterans along with them, and we're expecting those veterans to lead the way in a positive way. Now, we've yet to see it so far, stage 3, and hopefully it's not going to be too late for Astralis. But on the flip side, I mean, let's be a little bit more positive, Jesse, man.
Absolutely.
Mirage, you're looking great. So,
Yeah.
okay, we spoke about Dream, we spoke about Nyx. Anything else on this roster that you just love to see?
I mean, I really think that Thomas had a couple of great moments as well, and Benji on that roam game oftentimes alongside Nyx were doing a great job of working together with that team, right? One criticism we've had of Mirage is sometimes on the roam you've had a couple players that are playing too individually, right? They're all by themselves, they're out there losing gunfights, there's no chance for a trade. Well, that didn't happen. On the roam game this time around, whether it was Nyx and Thomas or Nyx and Benji or whatever combo it might have been, they were always playing as a duo and working together, even when they were dying as a duo, right? There was a round somewhere in there where like the opening
There's
two
still-
deaths were like
there's
Nyx
still
and
something
Benji.
there, yeah.
They were together, and that's all I wanted, right? All I wanted to see was these two players like connected and being able to work with one another on that roam game. I want to hype up Dream, especially that round 3. I don't think it was caught very well on camera, but round 3 when it was like the 2v5 or 2v4, Dream from behind bar on the smoke. Oh my God, killed I think 3 players, or no, killed 2 players down to 3rd and then beat the 4th on time. Amazing stuff. This was really just an all-star performance from the guys on Mirage.
Yeah, and it is the plays that we were wondering what they were consistently, to where they're just overly aggressive. The way, you know, we talk about Nyx, they were doing it. They were all doing it. You saw Thomas doing it in bar with a Vector, and it's like, okay, Thomas, what are you doing? Oh,
Right.
no, he's going to get a kill and go back to site. It was nuts. But once again, shout out to Mirage. But the community poll question is, who's going to pop off the most on player camps today, Dream or Iconic? Jacob, who would you think would have gotten an upper hand to cause for more celebration?
God, I love me some Iconic, but why do I get the feeling Dream won this poll?
Well, actually,
Or am I crazy?
lost this poll.
Man.
Yo, Jesse, peep this out. 34%
Wow.
to 66%.
Wow.
The popularity of the young gunners in the NAL is
Holy.
definitely on the rise.
Listen, I mean, I would vote for Astralis too. I mean, it's Astralis, but come on, against Dream, that's tough. That's tough.
Absolutely insane. So at the end of the day, you guys already know the deal. We talk about MVPs and whatnot. So let's talk about it for a second. So we had a ton of top performances today. Performers today, excuse me. Some that come to mind. Okay, I think Eclipse got like 15 kills, right?
Sure.
But who was on the other side that got the 14 for the win? It was I'm
The
blanking.
creators?
Creators.
Well,
I would say
it was
creators is my
creators.
MVP today.
Nice.
But you're forgetting someone dropped 21 today.
Come on.
Oh,
It's got to be
Today's
Mr.
been
21.
a long day. It's Mr. 21. It's hard to code.
There you go, Belly.
MVP,
You got
go
it.
everything.
Yeah.
You got it.
You
I
know what
think
it
has
is?
to be.
Okay. To be fair, Hot and Cold does this so often now, it is just regular. So it's like,
True.
oh, it's another Wednesday in the NAL. So are we like all decided on Hot and Cold for the MVP today?
Oh, it should be.
I
The
think
man
so.
posted like it was a 2.3 rating or something, and also was doing
Yeah.
that against TSM, who only had 1 player within green stats by CGG, if I'm remembering correctly. So if it's not Hot and Cold, I will like fight someone in the studio. I will literally fly to California and fight someone.
Hey Jesse, you're the big brain here, right? So
Yeah.
you've been around Siege for a very long time. You're the historian on the desk. So my question to you is, in NA, when it comes to Pro League, have you seen a player had a pop-off resurgence year like Hot and Cold has had? Because ever since he took over, he never let go.
I mean, there have been a couple players that have like gone into like slumps and then got dropped and then maybe come back. But like Hot and Cold's been good for a year, right? Like this whole year has been Hot and Cold's year. And so far in stage 3, like 12-0 on entry. That's ridiculous. Like no player has matched that as far as I've been paying attention and collecting stats for competitive Siege. Like that is ridiculous at this level. So I've got to hope it's Hot and Cold, and there it is. Thank
There
you,
it is.
production.
Dude,
Super
honestly,
well deserved. He carried this.
There isn't a day that goes by where I don't ask the question, why did Dark Zero drop Hot and Cold? I'm just saying.
I mean, I talked about this on my stream. I genuinely think Dark Zero dropping Hot and Cold might be the worst roster move of all time.
Yes.
Like, honestly, what was worse than that?
I feel like, and I told Hot and Cold at the Space Station house, beautiful home by the way. I said, if I was Mirage, I would have gave you the bag. I would have made you the franchise player. You would have been my LeBron James. But now Dark Zero let him go. Okay, Hot and Cold, all right, I'm gonna get jiggy with it. Went to Mirage, dominated. They let him go again to Space Station Gaming, and now look at him, 21 Savage. He's destroying everybody right now. 4 opening kills, 21 kills total, and only 5 deaths. He is what dreams are made of. So shout out to Hot and Cold. And now let's take a look at the standings. Whoo, Jesse, things have changed up big time. We now have a definitive, I don't want to call him a definitive loser, but a definitive last place team. And they're in for a wild ride. It isn't going to be an easy ride up from the bottom.
No, I mean, if you had told people in stage 2 that Astralis would be 9th place, they would say, when did Astralis get into the league? But after they sponsored Disrupt, then they would say, that's crazy. I don't think that's a bottom team. But here they are, 3 points all alone in 9th place. And I mean, it feels awful for Mirage. 1 win, 5 losses. Do the math. That means they've only got 2 more games, Veli, and those aren't even necessarily the easiest matchups. You play Dark Zero, who I think is beatable, right? But that'll be up in the air. And then they play Beast Coast, which again, you could win that one. These are winnable games for Astralis, but they're not free. I don't think any of the matches in the NAL are going to be like free wins, especially for a team that's been struggling so much this stage. So they're absolutely in hot water. This is going to be a really tough hole for them to try to claw themselves out of. It's still in their hands to an extent, right? If they can win these games, then I think like if they get 2 more wins and finish at 9 points, they should be fine, right? But I mean, this is scary for Astralis. It's relegation stage. Don't forget.
Nah, this ain't just scary for Astralis, man. Jacob, do you see what I see? TSM at 7 points, Dark Zero at 6 points, and there's a lot of other people with 6 and 5 points right behind them. Yo, things are hot right now in the middle of the standings, Jacob.
All I'm saying is there is a very real possibility that XSET could go to the November major. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
It's there. It exists.
One win.
Everybody has an opportunity to vault even higher than they currently are. The schedules that everyone is going to have will be varying based upon whether they faced good teams or bad teams so far through the stage, but still, it is anyone's game aside from the bottom. So that's where I'm more concerned.
Chat, you heard it here first. If XSET goes to the November major, Caliber Jacob's gonna shave his head. All right, so let's take a look at the schedule for what's gonna happen next play day, because yet once again in the NAL, nothing but banger. Jesus, Jacob, Jesse, do you see match number 1, or are we spoiled right now?
Veli, dare I say this may be some of the closest matchups that we've ever seen in the North American League because of the standings. Also, I want to make this very clear. Weeks 7, 8, and 9 is crunch time. You have 3 weeks remaining. Some teams have buys. Dark Zero's got a doubleheader that they have to worry about in week 9, but we are almost to the end of the North American League for standard stages. TSM Sonics going to smash. SSG Dark Zero, we're hoping it does, and we're hoping Dark Zero can come back in a big way against Space Station. Beast Coast and Astralis somehow just became one of the closest matchups on the card, and XSET versus OXG could go literally either way.
Okay, so fellas, that is it for the day. Nothing but bangers, and you all know the deal already. Jesse, to start off with you, baby, It has been a great day. Lots of laughs. I love your analysis. You were on point today, man. You were on fire. So for the viewers out there, the beautiful people that just give us their time every single week, what do you have to say to them to get excited for the next Playday that we have for the NAO?
I mean, we talk a lot about this bottom placement, right? Obviously, Astralis being down there is a huge shock. Nobody predicted this at the start of the stage, and I think to be in this situation with so many teams just barely above them, I mean, not safe by any stretch of the imagination, is an incredible battle. But also, at the very top of the top, we have 3 teams in NA that are looking to push not just to be the best in North America, but to go to the Invitational, to go to the Major, prove they're the best in the world, keep on grinding for that. And so we got to keep a close eye on those teams as well as we continue to get through what Jacob just called crunch time. Things are going to get even more tense with every single matchup, and we'll start to lock down more and more teams for the Major, for SI, and ultimately for that relegation spot.
Oh, let's go, Jacob. We got the upset today. And we got the craziest upset, except the 2 times upset champs against Dark Zero. And we had great games, dude.
We did. Here's where we stand. The North American League season is almost over. Who would have thought? It was a really long, hard road to get here, and we've been through stages 1 and 2. We didn't have a stage 3 last year, but now everything's about to come full circle. The teams that you've been rooting for from the very start of the league are either about to enter relegation possibilities or are about to get their ticket punched to the Major and the North American League finals, because if you qualify for one, you qualify for the other, or are about to maybe even get eliminated from the league altogether. Everything in North America still has the possibility to go either way. Some things might be a little bit more secure than others, but the only way that you will be able to find out who's going home and who's staying here and who's potentially going to SI is by kicking it with us for the next 3 weeks, because everything is about to happen during crunch time.
I mean, let's be completely honest, fellas. The NAL is where we do it best, right? Because the storylines are just thicker than ever. We had new blood come in, and they were tested and tried, but the new blood are turning out to be better than what we used to have. Meanwhile, you have dominance from veterans. Hot and Cold isn't letting loose at all. You have Space Station Gaming doing well. Oxygen, Sonic's looking better than ever, baby. But not only that, but it's the lower tier teams that are starting to step up. XSET are on an upset road right now. They're tired of being laughed at, and they want to show teams that they're for real. So with the resurgence of old and new, we're seeing players like NVK and Canadian come into the mix and just win out and put on great performances. Things are just getting better week in and week out, and I couldn't be happier to be doing this with both of you here on the desk. So we're going to close things out. Once again, I'm Veli. Jacob and Jesse, you guys have been phenomenal analysts as usual. You don't need me to tell you that. To the viewers at home, we love you. Thank you for tuning in. We're nothing. All of this is nothing without you, by the way. But coming up next week, we have a major